Hey, everybody, welcome to Caffeinated Coaching. We have a great episode coming today with Coach PK Phaedra Kennedy, who is a endurance athlete and a coach. Primarily, she focuses on perimenopausal and menopausal women and women, in the middle of their life or early menopause too. So we are going to get into that today. Be sure to check out all of our other shows on the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network, as well as our fireside chat for Run Try Mag on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Let's bring Phaedra out. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
And I'm good. It's you're Canadian and it's Boxing Day, the day
It
after
is
Christmas.
Boxing Day today. Yes. So it's a statutory holiday here.
And so Boxing Day, explain to us and dumb Americans.
Honestly, I don't even know. I think I don't know is why, I guess because it's the day after Christmas. I really don't know where it came from. All I know is that this was something that I grew up with, and then realized in my 20s that, oh, Americans don't have this.
It's so I noticed you were shopping
Oh,
or
yes.
pre-shopping
Yes.
because the emails never stop this time of
Oh,
year.
no, they never fucking stop. Honestly, it Black Friday, I will say, is better than Boxing Day. You guys got that right. The deals are way better on Black Friday than they are on
Hmm.
Boxing Day. I think Boxing Day now is just whatever they didn't sell at Black Friday, they just try to get rid of now.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Great.
But you do still get some pretty good deals. Like I bought some cycling stuff on Christmas Eve. Boxing Day sales started Christmas Eve because, that's just how things work.
Like we just running together one whole retail holiday anymore.
Oh, 100%. It's like when Starbucks brings out pumpkin spice lattes at the
In
end of
August.
August.
Yes, in
I'm
August
like,
now.
really? No, this is just
Even
wrong.
in the
But
north, it's not even close to pumpkin spice season in August.
hell no, we're still hot here in September. It's still hot.
I grew up in what I like to call Southern Canada, which is Washington State.
Yeah, fair.
And well, because I spent a lot of my vacation time in Canada, like
Yeah.
in BC and Alberta and stuff. Because I mean, unless you're going to like Montana or Idaho or something, you're probably going north to Canada. It's just as interesting and it's something new. And so yeah, I just like I'm Southern Canadian. As a matter of fact, when I was 19 and my brother I was like, I want to drink. I've never drank, and my brother was like, let's drive to Canada because he was 21 and had a car, and I had a good job at 18, and so I paid and he drove, and we took our friends, and it was a good time. Uh,
Yeah, because our drinking age is only 19. Most
yeah,
provinces is 19.
yeah. At least back then it was. I'm middling, so my life. So which is why I am excited to chat with you because tell everyone I'm sure I didn't do it justice in the intro. So tell everyone your primary focus in coaching endurance athletes.
You nailed it, actually. It's women midlife, let's just say, with a strong focus on women in peri and post-menopause. So that nice little age range of about, I'd say, early 40s to mid to late 50s. That's kind of the
So
sweet spot.
I talked to Becky Croft a few weeks ago, who
Hmm.
she and I both had surgery. I believe she also in our 30s, which can put you into menopause or perimenopause early. I
Yeah.
actually don't know that it happened to me earlier than most people. I kept being like I've heard this a lot from multiple people who work out a lot in their earlier 40s. They're like, I don't address perimenopause because I don't feel any different than I did before. And let me tell you, this you might have the same similar situation, but I didn't either. I was just like, nah, this is never hitting me. I'm good. And then all of a sudden one day it was like someone flipped a switch and I was like, what is this fresh hell?
Yes. 100%. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was like 45 years old. I was 45. Um, and I had like my best year of run racing at 42. I set every distance I raced that year, I set a PB. So I have my 10K PBs from that year, half marathon, and marathon. I think my 5K PB came the year after. Um, but at 42, 43, and then fast forward 2 to 3 years later, and I started, like, having, um, a little bit of night sweats, but not too bad. Crime scene periods, like, they were terrible, and they
Oh,
were very, very irregular, and I started gaining weight, but just, like, this weird little spot right around my abdomen, around my belly button. It was like I had this, like, and I've always been really slim. It was just this weird.
yes, you are very slim. Not that
Yeah.
like it's hard to say that to people because you don't know who fights like they're always trying to gain weight and
Yes.
muscle and stuff. Like the struggle goes all directions with that.
All
So I
directions.
don't
Yeah.
want to I mention it because you mention it because you
Yeah.
are a slim person. So
Yeah.
um
So when
yeah,
your
that
body changes a certain way, you notice it,
mhm.
right? When something shifts, and I started to gain weight around my midsection, and I was like, "What is happening?" And then I also started having these, like, I call them episodes of rage. Um, and I felt like,
I have no
do I
idea what
don't
you're talking about.
right? I felt like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Do you remember that story where it was like he was
Yeah.
one person, but he had two different personalities? That's exactly what I felt like. Someone would say something, and it would literally just send me flying off the handle. It could be something really innocuous and nothing, but it just, I don't know why. I just took it the wrong way, or I don't know. I don't know what would set me off. Most of the time it was my husband. The poor guy got the brunt of a lot of shit in this phase. But sometimes it was people at work, and I would just lose it. I would just be like, blah, 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 oh my, totally freak out, and then be like, oh, and sorry about that. Like, just completely lose it for a second, and then back to normal in like the span of a minute. It was
Yeah.
bizarre. And I was like, okay, I need to, like, what is wrong with me? This is ridiculous. So I went to my doctor, and I'm lucky I had a really good doctor at the time. She listened to me. She didn't dismiss anything. And she was like, she had this little British accent, and she's like, "It sounds like you're going through the change." And I was like, "What the fuck is the change? Like, what do you mean?" And she's like, "Oh, it's you're entering menopause." And I was like, "What? I'm 45 years old." In my head,
This was like a
that was
50 plus thing or something? Yeah.
100%. It was like 55. It was mid 50s that that happened. And I was just like, "Okay, so what does that mean?" And she just explained, some of the symptoms and other things that I may start to experience. She asked me if I had any symptoms, like physical symptoms that were causing me problems. And I was like, not right now. She's like, okay. She said, just monitor that. And if, you do get to the point where you start to have physical symptoms like night sweats and hot flashes and all those other terrible things, you just, come back and we can discuss options. So I was like, okay. I knew that there was options available, but for several years I was okay. I didn't have any of these symptoms. It was almost like my body waited until, the last year before I hit menopause to just throw all of that at me. I had like terrible hot flashes. I was constantly dressing in layers. Like I never would have worn a sweater in a
Oh, wow.
million years. I was like, nope, got to stay in a tank top with like a sweater or like a zip up hoodie over it so I could just pull it off if I start to sweat. I had really bad night sweats, so it disrupted my sleep, which then started to impair my ability to recover because if you can't sleep, you're not recovering. So then, like, it only took a few months of that for me to be like, I need I need to talk to my doctor. I can't live like this. I can't live like this. So she put me in touch with an OBGYN, and I went to her, talked to her about hormone therapy, and was like, sign me up. I know what the risks are. I don't care. Sign me up. And it
Yeah.
just to try to see if it made all the difference. And honestly, how many years later is this now? I don't even know. It was 49 when I hit menopause, and I'm 53 now. So I've been on hormone replacement therapy for that time, and I will not go off it at all.
Someone on Threads asked, I think it was yesterday or the day before, like, how do you sleep through the night in your 40s? And I was like, HRT. That's how you
HRT.
sleep. Like,
Yeah. But
please
there's
go
other
find.
things like that has helped, but I find that now I just have over the years I started to struggle just to fall asleep. So I started taking melatonin and then I went off that and now I have to take a combination of things and I really do get really good deep sleep now because that's where I was like lacking. My deep sleep was less than an hour. Um, I take magnesium, a bunch of that before I go to bed.
Hmm,
Um, L-theanine and GABA.
huh.
That's the magic combo for me. I get almost 8 hours of sleep a night. I may wake up, I usually wake up once to go to the bathroom and go back to, and I'm able to fall back asleep 9 times out of 10. There is a rare time that I can't fall asleep, and I think that's usually if I have coffee later in the day. I always pay the price for that. So I just don't do that. Or if I drink, which again, I don't do much of that either. So
So you found not drinking coffee and or alcohol, it sounds like, later in the day helps you sleep.
yeah.
Did you find, so everybody always wants the beauty secret. So did
Yeah.
you find something specific that helped you with that annoying, stubborn, like belly fat that you did not, or like
Oh, it's still there.
fat deposits that you do
Still
not?
there. Still there. And I've just said, you know what? This is gonna be here. I like food too much. I like I do like my sweets. Jason knows I like the pastries, so any bike ride I go on, if I'm going for a coffee, there's going to be a treat. And honestly, life is too short to stress about this now, and I think that's sort of something that's come with age. I'm kind of like, you know what? How hard do I want to work to get rid of this?
Yeah.
Does it really matter? No, I can still run really well. I am getting stronger in the gym. I can still cycle really well. Do I care? Does it affect my athletic performance? No, it doesn't.
And I think that's what we need to really talk about is one, what's important to each individual person. To you, it's your athletic performance. Also, let's talk about enjoying life and the pastries. And from the back room, Jason is actually saying, eat the pastries and drink your coffee. Midlife.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
has a funny story about the gas station attendant here, not far from here, when he rides his bike. He's always like, "You cyclists, why you're always eating candy?" And so he had a big chat with him about why he stops for a Gatorade and candy. And
Yeah.
I think the guy even notices now when he buys a different kind of candy bar.
Oh my God.
um, there's a giant hill here, so I don't ride the bike with him because I don't. He loves climbing that hill, and I don't have any interest. But uh, so what in life, what's important to us matters. So if eating the pastries and enjoying food is important to you, and your athletic, abilities is important, but the extra little middle of life body fat for men or women, if it's not hindering that, then
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
yeah.
I on the other hand, so I talked about this the other day on Threads, which is that my grandfather died of complications with diabetes when he was 59. So I have had on this whole conversation of middle of life, I recently had a glucose test that
Hmm.
came back not high, but not where I have had it for the longest time. So I have decided to try a continuous glucose monitor, a
Oh, cool.
CGM that's in my arm. I have a jacket on, so you can't see it, but it's in my arm. And I am actually finding that is changing. Like, I didn't really have belly fat that I was trying to get rid of, but I have noted, like, I was just trying to basically monitor, like, are my sugars spiking and when and
Hmm.
why, and am I going to end up diabetic? Because it's my grandpa was a type 1 to our knowledge. Back then they didn't really know what type 1 was when he started
Hmm.
passing out and stuff. So it's like it's genetic for me in a multitude of ways. And so I just wanted to monitor this, but I'm finding that it's actually changing that as I make sure that my glucose and my blood sugars are steady. Um, it's making my abs more visible, and I'm like, I
Hmm.
don't hate this.
Nope. It's true.
And I'm not advocating everybody run out and give themselves one of these things because I honestly think I was talking to Rose, Rose's Endurance Dreams, I
Mhm.
believe, and she said she tried it. She swims a lot more than I do, and she found that it was annoying, like it didn't want to stay or something because you are like sticking. It's got sticky tape around it and stuff,
Yeah,
and so I think if I swam 3 days a week again, it
it
probably
would be
would not
annoying.
stay on me. It would
Yeah.
probably be fighting with it. But for now, if I only swim once a week, it seems fine with the shower and swimming once a week and stuff. But it's just interesting that they always tell you that your blood sugar really can contribute to belly fat. And I was
Mhm.
like, I got off the stationary bike the other day on Christmas Eve, and I was like, I can see my abs even better. I was like, I don't hate this. So it's what's important to you in life. Have I been able to eat Christmas pastries since I put this thing on? Not really.
No,
Like I'm
no.
eating there's like a cookie that's this big, and I'm eating half of it at once, and then I'm
Yeah,
still watching things like go
go
up.
up.
But
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, maybe I'll get to eat the other half of that cookie later. So it's really like what is, and I actually noticed it happened on a hard like hike run. Like I
mm,
didn't take any fuel, and your liver kicks in and pushes glucose into your blood. You could see it visibly on the graph. So that was fascinating too. Like I'm my own science experiment right now, so maybe we'll report back on how that helps or how it works out. But that's fascinating to me that I like to talk about. Everybody has different priorities, and you clearly are like, I want to do these sports. This doesn't
yeah,
bother me. I'm not gonna stop eating my favorite foods and drinking coffee mid ride, and that's awesome. And I think that is something that we all need to talk about. We have different
totally,
priorities.
totally. Yep. Yeah, I mean, life's too short to, I don't know, limit things, really, I think.
So when you coach women, do you kind of look at it in that way? Like what is your priority as an athlete? Like what are you looking for? I assume you're programming strength training and for all of even endurance
Yes.
athletes.
Yes. Yes, anyone that, I do have some athletes that absolutely hate it and won't do it. And I'm like, "Okay, you know what? Fine, but don't come to me in 2 years and be like, "Oh, you were right." Yes, if you wanna be, like, stay in the sport and have longevity in the sport, you gotta start lifting weights, and you gotta do it sooner rather than later. And I think that, I have some athletes that are high mileage runners. That becomes challenging to fit it in, but I do think at some point you might need to take out a run or 2 and put strength in just to preserve that muscle mass. I think it's really important. So yeah, pretty much every athlete I work with, I program strength for, unless they're already working with someone. I have a couple of athletes that work with personal trainers specifically, so their strength is in their
Separate.
hands. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you find that well, I think that that's probably a hard question. I was going to ask, do you find that less of your athletes end up injured? But I think that's such an individual
totally.
thing on how hard people push themselves anyway, and how you're warming up and cooling down. And do you program warm up and cool downs more? And did you find as you got older that it was more necessary to do
100%. I did a I don't know, Instagram post a few years ago that had like a pie chart, and it was, actual warm up time, and then most of the pie chart was time spent warming up. Like 75% of the chart was time spent warming up, 25% was actual workout time. Because that's really what it feels like for me sometimes. It's like I spend usually 20 minutes, and sometimes I'm only going to go run for 30 minutes. It's like, do I need to spend 20 minutes warming up? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Don't skip the warm up. And then I will stop my run usually at least a kilometer-ish from my house. So then I have a 5 minute, well, 10-minute-ish walk back. So I'm getting a good cool down as well. And I don't skip any of that anymore, because if I do, I eventually end up with some kind of problem. So I don't.
I I'm terrible at the whole warm up thing. I came up in the school of thought that if you run the first mile
Yeah.
slower, which I'm not sure that happens for me anymore either, but um I am a preacher of the cool down, but not in the way that you're talking
Yeah.
about necessarily. I do that as well. Used to drive one of my coaches nuts because she'd program like a 20-mile run for me, and I'd run 19 and then I'd walk to the coffee shop and back
I
for the
love it.
last mile. And she was like, I need you to actually run the
Why?
20. And I was like, I got 20 miles. I just happen to have a coffee for the
Yeah.
last like mile of
It's
it.
still
It's not
time on your
what do you
feet,
want
man.
from
It
me?
still counts.
Right. It was still time on my feet. It was just pretty funny because I was like, if you're gonna want me to run 20, you're gonna have to program 21 because I'm gonna take that
Yeah.
last mile. I'm gonna go to the coffee shop. But but I am big on the cool down that is
Yep.
stretching. Not many people do that where they actually like stretch after the run. They do the walk. The person in the back room producing is very guilty of this. They do the walk or
Someone's been busted.
the yeah, I always hear it. I did a cool down. I'm like, yes, but you don't actually like stretch your muscles out afterward, which is where they've gotten all tight and worked and you I did not come up in the school of thought of you stretch your cold muscles
Hmm.
before you go
You
running.
don't.
I believe in stretching them when they're warm
Mm.
afterward, and I find that helps me stay looser and less
Yep.
injured. Do you ever try that? Do you ever incorporate that?
So, yes, I do, myself. I will come back and stretch after. Sometimes I do a little bit more of a dynamic sort of cool down. And I do have some mobility things that I put into my athletes' training around that. Um, but I have others like to do sort of their own thing, right? So they'll come back and work on whatever areas they feel that they need to work on. So I kind of leave it in the hands of athletes. I just say, make sure that you're doing something to start to facilitate your recovery, whether it's,
That's a
walking
great
or, light stretching, foam rolling, whatever. I'm always on people about like tissue care. I'm like, leave your stuff out in your living room. Our living room looks like, I don't know, it's ridiculous. We have 2 yoga mats on the carpet. We have, like, all the tools. They're right there on the floor in front of the TV by the couch. There is absolutely no excuse for me not to get down on the floor while I'm watching TV at night and spend 10 minutes rolling out my legs or my hips or whatever part of my body that may need some more attention. So I always encourage my athletes to do that. Like, take care of your body, get massage if you have benefits, use them. Don't let them sit there. Like, I go for massage once a month. I usually burn through my massage by like, I don't know, by September I'm out of coverage.
I love
So do I.
massages. I don't go nearly often enough, but I do enjoy them. It's just nice to get the tissue worked in a different
Totally.
way. Um, And I think it's great that you leave it up to the athlete because I personally get really tight lower back. And so I tend to do forward bends and
Mhm.
hamstring stretches after I run so that I can keep that area more
Yeah.
loose and doesn't hurt as much, I guess. So do you have like any specific tips or things that you've found that you would tell women, 40 plus or mid 30s plus who might be experiencing some changes in their endurance? Because from what I know, I'm not a specialist in this area by any means, but your like aerobic capacity and endurance can actually be very affected by perimenopause and menopause too. So any tips or anything you would give
In
the
this
athlete?
phase, I think what this really boils down to is ability to recover. And I would say that that's the case with any endurance sports, but in this phase of life, your ability to recover really changes. And looking at how you are scheduling things during the week. Some people, I have some athletes that can still thrive on a 7-day schedule where, they're doing two hard speed workouts a week, maybe a hard bike in there, and the 7 days is enough for them to fit it all in and get adequate recovery. I have other athletes that are like, no, I need like more time. So, depending on the person, I may do, 1 week where it's harder, and then the next week is going to be a little bit easier, and then they'll go back to a harder week. So there's sort of a 1 week on, 1 week off. If they are someone that has a flexible schedule like myself, um, I will go on a 10-day cycle. So you can space things out much
Mm.
more, right? Because I found I usually need a good 2-ish days between my hard days. And my hard days would be, a hard bike and strength workout. I almost always pair a strength session with a hard either bike or run session. And then I'll take 2 easier days before I do my next hard session. And that seems to work really well for me. So that's, the biggest thing I think in this phase is just see how long it's taking you to recover from things and then gauge yourself accordingly. Like if you need that extra time, take that extra time.
Yeah. I am a person who says time and energy are very different. Somebody will be like, "I don't have time." And I'm like, "Is it the time that you don't have, or is
Energy.
it the energy and the capacity that you don't have?" Because I found that very much for myself in the last few years. Like, I may have the time, but I no longer have the energy to spend on that, or I do not want to spend the energy on a specific thing. And so it's energy. Like, we need to stop saying, "I don't have time." We need to start saying, "I do not have the capacity," or "I do not
Yes.
have the energy." And that's quite all right, because I tell people that all the time. No, after this hour, I'm not going to have the energy for that
Yep.
specific thing. So I like your idea of the 10-day too. I've never been one who broke it differently than like weeks, just
It's
because,
easy.
my
Yeah.
calendar is an easy way to track things. And but I do find that you do need more
Yep.
recovery kind of like at this point. And it's just like, I used to be like a 4:30, 5 o'clock
Oh,
p.m.
yeah,
runner
me too. And now
all
I'm
the
like,
time.
no fucking way.
In my 20s and 30s. And then there was a time when I was like, well, I got to shift it to 4 a.m. So I shifted to 4 a.m. and I stayed at the 4 a.m. for a long time, and then hit like a lifting session at 2 p.m. or whatever. And now I'm like, who is that person? I do not even
I
recognize
know.
that
I know.
person.
I know.
If I can't run at
Oh
like
my
10
God.
a.m., I don't know
Yeah.
what, like, I
Oh,
cannot be out there at 4 a.m.
yeah,
or
I
5.
totally get that. I used to do, like, when I think about my previous job, I worked kind of 9 to 5. So I'd have to, as a result, and training for triathlon, you're trying to balance 3 different sports. So you need to do doubles. So I would
Yeah.
swim in the morning, and then I had a run club that I ran with, and we'd run at 6 p.m. Which to me
Yeah.
now, I'm like, "No, I'm eating dinner at 6 PM." Like, I would go and run, and then I'd come back, and it would be like 8 by the time I got back. I'd shovel food in my face, I'd go have a shower, and
Yeah.
then I'd somehow be able to still fall asleep by 10 o'clock. I'm like, "I no fucking way that's happening now. Not happening now. No way."
No. I used to swim after
Yeah,
work too, and then I would feed myself and take the shower directly after the swim, feed myself, and then be ready for bed.
yeah,
And I'm like, in what world does now, because I would always hear that, oh, you can't fall asleep if you work out too close to bed. And I'm like, these people are crazy. I can fall
totally.
asleep if I work out like an hour before bed. I
Yeah.
can still fall asleep. Now I'm not sure if that would happen. I don't try it. So I'm probably not going to be the one to
Oh,
tell you
yeah,
if it works
no,
or
I
not.
can't
But
wrap my head around that
uh
at all now. Like, the latest I think I'll work out in the day is, like, 4, and that is gonna be a
yeah.
short run or a really short strength session that I don't have to leave the house for. That'll be it. Something short.
That's I'll do like a 4 o'clock bike ride. I have done some 4 o'clock runs. I don't know though. I don't count myself into a normal bedtime anymore, so I can't actually gauge if any of this is keeping me up, or if my life is just keeping me up. I teach until
Oh
9:30
my god.
p.m. Some
Yeah.
nights of the week, and so my entire life has shifted to a different time of day,
Yeah.
and so if I ever get a schedule, I'll report back on
I
what
was
works
gonna
and what
say, as a
doesn't.
teacher at university, you're a university prof, you probably, yeah.
Yes, I am a university
No
professor,
normal
but
schedule.
I also have staff meetings at like 9 a.m. and I'm like,
Oh,
"What?" Like, I taught until 9 last night. What do you want
that
from
just
me
seems
right now?
mean.
It's it's a wild life. I'll give it you that. It is definitely a wild life. Uh, so it's been really fun to talk to you, and I agree. Jason is saying from the back, about our massage
Yeah.
conversation. If you can't get a massage, to everyone out there, if you don't have time for a massage, go for a pedicure and get your like
Oh,
calves
yes.
massaged, because definitely as a runner and cyclist, your calves are feeling it. And so if you don't have time for a full on, full body massage, then go get a pedicure and get your calves.
Yes, man, I'm talking to you as well.
Yes, he would like all of you men to know that your feet don't have to be
I
icky.
can't, like,
And especially all of you ultra runners,
oh,
please
yeah.
get your feet
I've
taken care of. Don't put them on the internet.
I've had, like, 2 pedicures, I think, and I just don't want anyone, like, because they take your calluses off. I'm like, "No, don't touch those. They belong on my feet. Do not remove them, because when you do, it's incredibly painful to start running again, so don't touch them."
So I don't like calluses, but I call them the go fast calluses. Not on me, but everyone else. You're welcome to take that. And when people are like, "Ew, your feet," just be like, "Those are my go fast
Yes.
calluses," and no one
Yes, no
touches
one
them.
touches them.
Because I don't calluses. I'll let them take my calluses.
You're picking your
Like I get
battles.
mad if I get annoyed if I've gotten a pedicure and then my feet start to get scratchy
Ooh,
sooner than I think they should. I'm like, they
yeah.
didn't do a good job. My feet should not be scratchy and getting calluses. And so, yeah, I'm not a fan of the Go Fast callus, but I'm happy for anyone else who wants to keep their Go Fast calluses. And that goes back to the whole self-care too, and we're all different and what's
Yep.
important to you. If getting your like some people are just uncomfortable having their feet
Yes.
touched, and so they don't go do
Yeah.
that sort of thing. A lot of people are uncomfortable getting a full body massage where they have to get
Yep.
naked and put the sheet over you sort of thing. So in that case, you can also get, if you've never gone, you can also get a chair
Yeah.
massage a lot from those same like masseuses. They will do, and just as shoulders. And another thing, if you're a runner or cyclist or swimmer, your shoulders are getting sore from all of that work. People underestimate just the running. I think Brittany and I were talking about this, how much you
Yeah.
work your shoulders just swinging your
Totally.
arms. So if you're uncomfortable, there's
Yeah.
always a way take to get more self-care in your life. So if anyone needs tips, I have
There's
all of them
there's another
probably.
form of, it's stretch therapy. So I have a guy,
Yes.
and he's a fascial stretch therapist, and he's also an RMT, so he's registered as an RMT, and he does do massage, but not the traditional type of massage. But he's a fantastic stretch therapist, and if I can't get in for a massage, I go see him. Oh my God, it's amazing, and you're fully clothed, right? So if you don't, not comfortable with
Nice.
massage, try and find a fascial stretch therapist, like, so good.
Yes. So there's so many options. You can have your hands and like forearms massaged as well,
Yep,
fully clothed. So there's lots of options for fully clothed massage or stretching if that is what you prefer. Your feet, you can go in and all you have to do is roll up your pant legs and have a pedicure, and so that's self care. Like trust me, I have all the tips on like self care. And my biggest thing in life, people are like, oh, well, I don't want to spend that money. I will spend money taking care
yes,
of myself, because you are the only body that you ever have. Like your body, this is
yeah,
what you get. So take care of it, because like your health, you can't get it
nope,
back sometimes when something goes wrong, which is why people think, like my sister said it. She's like, getting a continuous glucose monitor seems a little extreme. And I'm like, why wouldn't I? I don't have to keep it past like
yeah,
90 days if I don't want to. And it teaches me about like how to take care of
yeah,
myself better. And so that's a self-care thing. Getting a facial, if you don't want anyone, like if you don't want to get undressed and stuff, they will
oh, yeah,
relax
cranial
your
massage,
face.
they'll if they massage your head, that's a whole thing
Yeah.
too, so yeah, there's lots of ways to take care of
Yeah.
yourself, I
So
think, and I think we just don't do it enough, you know?
no, we don't, as especially men won't for themselves, women won't for themselves. I'm not going to say it's one
Yeah,
group or the other who does or doesn't, but everybody has a little hang up here or there. Like, I don't want to, do that. That sounds icky, or I don't want someone
yeah,
touching my feet, or try it. you know what, go with a friend who's done it before and have them show you the ropes of whatever it might be, like masseuse or whatever, and try it, because you'd be surprised. And stress is such a killer. I mean, heart disease is
Totally.
the number one killer of women, and stress
Yep.
contributes to heart disease in so many ways. And so if you can find a way to take better care of
Yep.
yourself,
Yeah.
and that's not go run as fast as you can
No.
and feel good about it,
No. Like I think
but
you're so right with the stress piece, and that is a big piece also in midlife, right? Like a lot of women in this age range usually have ailing parents, kids that are going off to university, and if they are working, generally they're in positions of, management or higher management. So there's job stress. It's like a giant ball of stress that
yes, a giant
just
ball of
keeps
stress.
rolling and rolling and rolling. So that can affect your ability to work out and recover appropriately. So yeah, it's stress is terrible.
And stress is everything. So it's not just when we talk about like workout stress, it's not just the
No.
workout. It's also all of that stuff in
Yes.
life that is weighing on your subconscious, whether you feel it or not, too. And so you have to incorporate all of that into your
Yep.
training. And you probably have seen it with athletes of yours if they're like, I'm going through this huge life change where I have to put my parents in a nursing home, or I'm getting a
Yep.
divorce,
Or I'm
or
moving.
what have you.
Moving is one of the biggest
Yes.
life stresses ever.
You know what's funny is I never thought that until I was in the
Yeah.
middle of it. I was like, "Oh my god, why
Yeah.
am I doing
Yeah.
this again?" And
Yeah.
so, yes, moving is a huge stress that you don't think about, and it's all the logistics of it and stuff. And so, to everyone out there, coaches like Phaedra will help incorporate your programming as well as what's going on in your life. If you're dealing with a coach that is not considering your whole life together, then consider maybe a different coach who and vet them. And if you're ever curious about how to vet a coach, uh, reach out to somebody at Run Try Mag. We've all either coached or
Yeah.
been coached by multiple people, and we've talked to endless coaches, so we know quite a few.
Ask lots of
uh,
questions.
so how's Yes, ask lots of questions. I've learned with each coach that I've been with, like, a new question
Yeah.
to ask the next time, I
Yep.
would say. So how do people reach out to you best if they wanna get in touch with you?
Instagram, DMs. A lot of people will message me there. And you can go to my website as well, which is pkperformancecoaching.com. There's a contact me box in there as well. So either of those are good ways to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Well, Phaedra is coach.p.k on Instagram and Threads. It has been great talking to you. One
Oh,
last question. Favorite caffeinated
ooh,
beverage? That is the big one on caffeinated
oat milk
coaching.
latte,
Oh, any flavor or just oat milk
straight
and
up,
coffee?
no flavor.
Oh, oh, that's a
Yeah,
good one though.
if it's good coffee,
Oat milk is creamier.
definitely no flavor. If I know I'm going, like we've had this discussion, you and I, about Starbucks, and if that is my only option, I'm going to put flavor in there because Starbucks coffee to me is not very good. I said it.
It's mid, as the kids say.
It's mid.
Mid.
Well, yeah, mid. Yeah.
It's mid.
Don't I love their mugs, but and that's really the only reason I'll go to Starbucks is just to go get a mug. But
I love their mugs, and the reason that I mean, it's hometown coffee for me in
yeah.
Washington, but the reason that I go there is because I think of it as assembly line coffee. Like, you know, you're going to get a certain
Yes.
level. So if I have been out of luck with coffee in a certain place for like one or two tries at local shops, I'm like, I'm going to
Yes.
find Starbucks because I know it will be a standard that I can live with and be happy with
Yes.
usually.
I would agree with that. I agree
So
with that. Yeah, and that like if I'm gonna
that,
have a latte, if I need a coffee and I'm gonna go, that's my only option. There's gonna be flavor in there, just a little bit of something.
yeah,
Usually sugar.
I'm a big fan of their sugar cookie latte that they have this
Ooh.
time of year. So it will go out soon because Christmas
Hmm.
is over, but right now. It's my preference. And if you get vanilla cold foam, I'm basically like drinking a puppuccino because they put like this much foam at the top, and I'm just like licking the foam. So it's pretty entertaining to watch me drink one of these drinks. It's been great having you on the show. I had fun talking to you. Everybody reach out to Phaedra if you have any questions, or reach out to me and I can put you in touch with her. Any last words for the audience?
Happy holidays. Really. We're almost at the
Happy
end of the year.
holidays.
Woohoo!
Happy New Year's. Woo, New Year's. All right. We will talk to you again soon, Phaedra.
Thanks,
Have a
you
great
too.
day.
Bye.